The VW campervan has arguably one of the most iconic looks in the motoring world, with that signature two-tone colourway, a rugged, boxy look, and huge VW logo on the front. It's certainly a showstopper, and in 2025 the legacy of the VW campervan lives on, because this is the VW ID Buzz, which now comes in an all-new 7-seater configuration. And I think it's fair to say that this isn't just a marketing ploy by Volkswagen, in the sense of bringing back a classic VW, modernising it to capture a new audience. Because the Buzz certainly has the capability to create an even bigger legacy than its vintage counterpart. And although the ID Buzz isn't necessarily deemed a campervan, it certainly has the capabilities to become one, and could be a great alternative to an everyday electric SUV. And I mean, how much cooler is this to the likes of the BMW iX3? And the all-new 7-seater ID Buzz actually costs less, with prices starting from just over the £59,000 mark. And if you want to find out more about the ID Buzz range, then contact Corkill's Volkswagen Wigan. First things first, let's talk design and style of the ID Buzz. And of course, it's a look we're familiar with. It's inspired by the original VW camper. And I think we can all agree that that look is almost legendary. It's almost untouched. I feel like you can't mess with it too much. And this is recognisable in that. But I think what the ID Buzz does is adds another layer, because it adds an almost premium. Of course, it's a more modernised version, but the way them LED headlights go into that signature VW logo, and also this front bumper with all them different accents. I mentioned that this isn't necessarily deemed a campervan, although it has capability of being one, but it would be a great alternative to an everyday electric SUV. It has that premium edge, and it's rather practical. The one area for me that really proves the Buzz's practical nature is the storage and boot capacity. Although if you were to own a Buzz yourself, then I'd advise giving yourself a lot of room at the back, because the boot opens pretty far and also fairly slow. However, with this being the all-new 7-seater configuration, with all 7 seats up, then you're left with about 306 litres boot capacity. You get this nice storage shelf, so you can easily section off like your charging cable or your sort of maintenance bits, and then have your actual bags here. Now you might be looking at this on the outside and thinking 306 litres, that's kind of the same as what you'd find like an ID3 or a small hatchback. But if you look at other 7-seaters across the marketing world, Nissan X-Trail, which is award-winning, is very much a fan favourite. That car with all 7 seats up is left with about 177 litres. So 306 with 7 seats up, I think, is a good amount of space. But if you weren't in need of that third row, then you can drop the 6th and 7th seat, and you're left with 1,121 litres of boot capacity. That is the official boot capacity of the ID Buzz as a 5-seat configuration. But to take it up a notch, if it was just you and one other person, drop that second row as well, so you only have 2 seats up, then you're left with 2,400 litres boot capacity. 2,400. And like I said in the intro, this could easily be converted into a campervan. Slide your mattress in there, get yourself a nice location, job's a good one. But the boot capacity isn't the only spacious place in the ID Buzz, because in the front you're treated to an abundance of space and storage. Not only is a completely flat floor, so you and your front passenger has plenty of legroom. Obviously, being the driver, you're going to have your feet on the pedals, but with this being electric, it's automatic, you could stretch, one leg out there, there's plenty of room, and the passenger certainly has sufficient amount of legroom. But they also, in the amount of storage, have a little shelf above your glove box, which is rather sizable, probably one of the biggest out there on the market. You have 2 cup holders which fold down to this little drawer section, but if you don't need to have the cup holders, because you also have what's called a buzz box in the middle, which can actually be removed. But there's a lot of functionality to this, because take out one of the partings, that can be doubled up as an ice scraper. Take out this one, it's got a bottle opener on. However, if you're driving, don't be using that unless it's non-alcoholic or you'd want to get yourself a little bougie soft drink. You also have storage which falls out here, and a massive drawer at the back that pulls out. You also have other shelving units on both doors, as well as deep pockets, and also the armrests on the doors are a very comfortable height. But with the mid and top spec, both the driver and the passenger benefits from 2 armrests, so drive down the motorway, it's a rather comfortable car to be in. As for the second row, well, that sense of loads of space and storage certainly felt. The amount of legroom you get here, and as a matter of fact, if you have really tall people in the back, although the back is still rather spacious, then you can actually move these two, so it's still a 60-40 split, or you can just move the single seat on its own, so you still get plenty of space. And as I said about the middle seat, almost the best seats in the house. You can fully stretch, there's no big centre console, and I think that's helped with the way VW have designed the ID Buzz, because your things like your clamp controls are up here with the 2 air vents, which is actually a new instalment of the new 2025 7-seater. You didn't see that on the first ID Buzz back in 2023, so adding in air vents at the back is rather handy. You also get the addition of tray table in the back. I mean, it's a little bit high for my liking. Yes, I am short, however, a little bit high, but you could easily rest your phone on there, you know, if you're watching something, or it can just get, you know, your food out of the way. But if you want your kind of your dinner off it, then it's a little bit of a faff. But I think that faff is kind of because of how much leg room you get. The amount of space, the amount of comfort in this, it's really impressive. Now, 7-seaters are known for, okay, being practical if you have a large family, but when it comes to the third row, it is pretty cramped. However, that's not the case with the ID Buzz. First off, to get in, you have so much space there, and once you're in, there is ample amount of leg room, obviously with that seat being back, but kick back, still plenty of space. But the whole just feel of the third row does feel rather premium. It's not necessarily seemed as just an afterthought that you might get, let's say, on the Nissan X-Trail. But the third row passengers are still going to have a good driving experience. You know, you've got a good amount of storage, you have got USB-C ports and also air vents coming down here, so you'll get a lot of ventilation because obviously you can't open the third row windows. Get a good amount of storage down here, and the legroom with them headrests just makes it an all-round comfortable journey. But as for overall look of the interior of the ID Buzz, it's very customizable. If you're not necessarily a fan of this cream colorway, don't worry, you can completely customize it, whether you want it darker, lighter. You can have it two-tone to match exterior paint. There's so much customization when it comes to this car. And the contrasting materials, this wooden effect, it's not real wood, it's a little bit of plastic, but I don't think that's necessarily an issue. It still looks rather good. Contrasting colors down here, which obviously match your seats. And overall, it's got to be one of the best driving positions I think I've been in. Nice upright with them 2 armrests, or if you're cruising like this, very comfortable indeed. When it comes to actual tech, and you have a 12-inch infotainment screen, the system is rather good. It's responsive, has built-in nav, CarPlay and Android also as standard. You have all your driving assist modes, multiple driving modes. You can change things like lane keep assist, automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, all of which come from standard. The entertainment system I think is fine. It's sufficient in what it does. Has obviously wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, has everything that you need to be able to comfortable and enjoy your drive. You have your different driving mode selectors, which are Eco, Comfort, Sport and also Individual, so you can customise it a bit. You can further customise the interior of the ID Buzz with the ambient lighting. Now, the base spec comes with 10 colour ambient lighting. The mid and top spec benefits from so much more customisation. So let's say it's Christmas, you want to get in the festive mood, then we can change it to red and green. Rather nice. Or if you're looking forward to a nice sunny holiday, then maybe go for a red and yellow. If you're going to España, then you can get into the mood for that. Or you can change it, I don't know, to your favourite football team or rugby team. Not to mention you do actually benefit from a head-up display depending on the model spec ID Buzz that you get. Now, when it comes to the higher specs, you're treated with a bit more luxury. Base spec, you still get things like 10 colour ambient lights, you still get like heated seats, heated steering wheel, so it's not necessarily an issue. But when it comes to the top specs, you actually get massaging seats. And let me tell you, if I was pulled up to charge the ID Buzz, then it'd be a great way to spend 20 or 30 minutes. And a 20 to 30 minute rest stop to charge the Buzz is kind of all you'd need, with this allowing ultra fast charging up to 185 kilowatts, meaning you can get from 5 to 80% in as little as just 30 minutes. And the ID Buzz can actually travel pretty far, with an electric mile range of up to 293 miles. Now, that varies depending on the spec. The top spec, the GT X4 Motion, comes with dual motor and all-wheel drive, which means that it's not only practical, but it offers a pretty good performance as well. And despite this being a large vehicle, it actually has a bit of zip about it. With the new 7-seater configuration, you actually get a new spec level, the GT X4 Motion, which comes with all-wheel drive and a dual motor system. This allows for up to 560 Nm of torque and an 60 time of 6.1 seconds, which I think is pretty good. And not only that, you get 335 brake horsepower, which is actually quicker than the all-wheel drive version of the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Again, showing that this could be an alternative to an everyday electric SUV. When it goes up the specs, the base and the mid spec, without that all-wheel drive system, then you're still going to be getting around about 7.6, which is actually faster than the first ID Buzz come out in 2023, which you were looking with that base spec at around about the 10-second mark. So the performance has been heightened gratefully over the last couple of years. But in terms of the actual driving experience, yes, it's a large car, but the driving position I think is one of the best I've had pound for pound. And the way the digital dash is laid out with this steering wheel, for the fact that it's all integrated, so no matter where you pull your steering wheel, whether you want it closer forward, digital dash moves also. And with that 12-inch infotainment system, it just makes this a very practical car and actually pleasant on your drive. And then you add in the fact it's got 360 view camera when you're parking. All in all, despite it being a large vehicle, you could still be rather relaxed and not be worrying about bumping it into anything, because you're not going to want to scuff the alloys or bump it into anything when you're parking, because it's a very nice vehicle. Another thing I find pretty staggering about the ID Buzz is you can tell its dimensions and its wheelbase is rather large, and especially me being stood next to it, being a 5'5" individual myself, you can quite clearly see how large this vehicle is. But it's interesting to know, it actually has a smaller turning circle than that of the VW Tiguan. And I think what greatly proves the practicality of the ID Buzz is the USB-C chargers. There's one in the passenger's door, there's two on the driver's side, there's plenty in the back and in that third row. And you might just think USB-C chargers are just there as a means of necessity. Everyone has a mobile device, everyone's going to want to charge on the road. But these USB-C chargers are actually surprisingly fast. At 11:06, I plugged in my MacBook, which was currently on 14%, and now at 11:33, I'm currently at 38%. Not half bad. Now, I mentioned that you can pretty much customise the ID Buzz to a T to your preference when it comes to design, but the specs are pretty straightforward and you actually get a lot of value for money with the base spec starting from £59,000. Now, obviously with this being the new 7-seater, it has some upgraded perks from the 2023 version, like rear clamp controls, so you can open a window in the back. They all come with the 7-seater specification. Now, the free specs being Life, Style and the GTX4 Motion, which is an all-wheel drive vehicle, offer plenty of value for money. And even if you went for the base spec, I don't necessarily think it's compromising your driving experience with all of this coming from standard. So then here's 5 things that I really like about the VW ID Buzz. The first is the fact you get electronically opening doors from standard, which aren't just controlled by the handle but also on your car key. Not just because it adds a bit of practicality to it, you know, that type of hands-free opening, but the fact it kind of feels a bit bougie and a bit premium. Number 2 is the ease in moving around the seats, because this middle row can easily be moved forwards and backwards. To get in the back, it's that simple lever, you get plenty of space to go back there. And then when you push it back, if you want to lay it flat, pull it down, and it locks in place quite easy. It's all very straightforward. Number 3 is the comfort, especially in the front 2 seats, because not only do you get lots of space, lots of storage, you also get armrests depending on your spec, but also the top spec benefiting from their massaging seats. Oh, it's a delight. Number 4, alloy wheels coming from standard. Base spec 19-inch, mid-spec 20-inch, top spec 21-inch. But all across the range, they look good, and I think they rather complement the look of this car well. But to get alloy wheels from standard, I think it's good going and value for money. And number 5 is just the overall style, feel and design of this car. Yes, it's a nod to its predecessor, but the fact that it's modern and is kind of making a name for itself, I think it's rather impressive. To take an inspiration whilst add another layer and you get this rather premium looking large vehicle. So then there you have it, the VW ID Buzz with all new 7-seat configuration. It may be inspired by its retro counterpart, but the Buzz certainly deserves more credit and can certainly make a name for itself. With everyday car tech, abundance of practicality and a feel-good factor about it, this isn't just a modern day camper, it could be a much cooler alternative to your electric SUV. And if you want to find out more, then contact Corkill's Volkswagen Wigan.